Hello guys, welcome back to Murasa Gaming channel. I'm Adrian and I apologize for not uploading for like around 2 weeks because I've been kind of busy with my school stuff and yeah, so I'm not able to make video during that period of time. But today we are going to do a deck profile on Buddyfight's Dimension Dragons. So for the main deck, of course, we are playing the Dragon World. And we have the main antagonist here for the Buddyfight season. And then here I use the Val Demonic Husk Deity Dragon vanityenddestroyer SP because I have the SP of it, so why not just use it as Buddy? So yeah, it's pretty nice, the SP art. So now we'll talk about the main deck. So for the main deck, we play 4 copies of Dimension Dragon Agonia. So this is kind of like one of our main pieces from the deck. It's a size 3 monster, 6k attack and 6k defense with 2 crits. So you can only call Agonia once per turn. And when this card put from the field to the drop zone, you may drop a Dimension Dragon from your hand. If you do, look at the top 4 cards and then you put 2 to your hand and the rest to the gauge. So basically you'll take 2 and charge 2. So this kind of like our resources and our sort of a mini searcher for the deck so that it can boost our consistency to go to lostworld, because lostworld is our main focus in Dimension Dragons. So yeah, we play 4 copies to increase consistency of getting him. Next up, we play 4 copies of Dimension Dragon Apis. So it's a size 2 monster, 2k defense, 2 critical, and 8k attack power. So like Agonia, you can only call Apis once per turn. So when this card enters the field, you may drop a hand card. If you do, look at top 6, put 2 Dimension Dragon monster or Lost World from them and put into your hand, and put the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. So basically when you call him out, you can drop any card from your hand. Then you can look at top 6 and you can take either monsters, 2 monsters, or 1 Lost World flag, 1 monster, or 2 Lost World flag, whatever you can. And then you can put the remaining card in any order. So yeah, play 4 copies to increase consistency also like Agonia. Next up, we play 4 copies of Dimension Dragon Dugain. So it's a size 0 monster. You have 2k of defense, 0 critical, and 1k of attack power. So his first ability, counter, activate during an attack on your opponent's turn. If you have a Dimension Dragon on your field, call this card from hand and change the target of attack to this card. So basically when an opponent use their monster or their weapon to attack you and you have a Dimension Dragon on your field, you can basically just drop this card on your left or right, and then the attack will be redirected to attack him and then he'll be destroyed. So basically you won't take penetrate, and you can protect your middle monster so that your defense won't be breached that easily. And then second ability is during your opponent's turn, when this card is destroyed, if you have another Dimension Dragon on your field, draw a card. So basically, like I said, you put it on your left or right, then they destroy him, and then you get to draw 1 card. So you can actually gain more resources even on your opponent's turn. So we play 4 to increase the chances of getting him, and if you have like more than 1 copies, basically you can spam it on a turn. Basically you can write 1, then you get destroyed, then you draw 1 card, then you call another one, destroy, you draw another card, then who knows, maybe if you're lucky from the top deck you draw, you get another one so they can call him out again. So by doing this, you already wasted like 2 to 3 attacks from your opponent. So this is pretty good. That's why we play 4 copies. And next up, we play 4 copies of Dimension Dragon Ankles. And my version is basically the Springfest 2019. I have 4 copies of it from friends and myself from participating in the competition. So with size 1 monster, 6k defense, 1 crit, 0 attack power. So the skill is, when this card is dropped from your hand, if you have a Dimension Dragon on your field, put the top card of your deck into your gauge, draw a card. Then if your flag is Lost World, you can draw another card. So basically you draw 1, and if your flag is Lost World, you draw 2. So this one is basically to just combo with Agonia or Apis, because their skill is basically when they are placed onto the field. This one is placed in the drop zone. I mean, you can drop a Dimension Dragon from hand, look at top 4, add 2, and charge 2. Then if you drop this guy, you'll get another gauge and you can draw 1 more card, and if you are lost, you can draw another one. Same goes to Apis. So when you call him out, then you can drop another hand card, so you can drop ankles also. So you can kind of like combo to draw more. Next up, we play 4 copies of Dimension Dragon Decay. So it's a size 1 monster, 3k defense, 3k attack power, 1 critical. So the card cost is basically put a Dimension Dragon from your drop zone into his soul. And then his first ability is when another Dimension Dragon monster enters your field, you gain 1 life and then draw a card. And this ability only activates once per turn, and because it's a named ability, more love, so even if you have like 2 or 3 on the field, it doesn't activate anymore, so it only activate once during your turn. And his second ability, if your flag is Lost World, this card gets power of 10k and defense of 10k, so making it 13k defense and attack. And you have plus 1 more critical, so you have 2 critical if you are Lost World, and you can double attack. And you have a Soul Guard. So this is also one of our draw support, and this sort of like mediocre attacker, in case that you don't have any attacker when you go to Lost World, which is somewhat rare because you get to draw a lot of cards even if you go Lost World. But yeah, if you are really you're really having a bad luck on that day, this might actually help, who knows. But yeah, for his ability, if he's at here and then somehow you oversize, you can still activate his ability first, draw your cards, and then destroy him afterwards. Next up, we play 2 copies of Dimension Dragon Dolor. Size 2 monster, 5k defense, 5k attack. And then we have 2 criticals. So card cost is pay 1 gauge and put the top card of your deck into his soul. His first ability is all Dimension Dragon's monster on your field cannot be destroyed or returned to your hand by opponent's card effect. So basically they can't use spell that destroy your monster, or stuff that can bounce your monster back to hand, because Dimension Dragons actually needs other dimension on the field, because we have spells that requires Dimension Dragons on the field to activate. So this basically helps with that, because if opponent destroy all of our Dimension Dragons or bounce all of them back to our hand, we cannot cast any spell at all. So basically this is to prevent that from happening and ensure that we can actually do something when they are actually attacking, etc. And if your flag is Lost World, these cards get 10k power, and then you can have penetrate and double attack. So this is also one of the quite good attacker, I guess. Next up, we'll play 4 copies of DM Bringer. So it's a spell. You may cast this card if you have a Dimension Dragon on your field. Like I said, Dimension Dragon is very important on your field, so basically this card helps you protect your Dimension Dragon. So this card is pay 1 gauge, draw 2 cards, and if your flag is Lost World, draw a card. and then you deal 2 damage to your opponent. So basically, if you have lost, you draw 3 cards and deal 2 damage. If not, you only draw 2. That's all. Pretty decent draw support, so we play 4 of it. Next up, we play 4 copies of Destruction. So its cast cost is destroy a Dimension Dragon on your field. So it's a counter spell. You gain 1 life, draw 2 cards, and you can only cast this once per turn. And because it is a counter card, this can be activated on your opponent's turn. So basically, like example, one of the combo is that you call Dugan out, then the opponent's attack is directed to this guy already. You cast Destruction. So basically, you destroy him, and because it's destroyed during opponent's turn, you draw 1 from his skill, and then you can gain 1 life, and you will draw 2 cards with this card. Also, this card can also prevent from like penetrate. Imagine if opponent is attacking your middle, you can also cast this card to destroy your middle, so you can make them miss the attack, and also you will gain more advantage. Next up, we play 4 copies of the Alteration. So this is a spell. You may only cast this card during an attack on your opponent's turn, and if you have a Dimension Dragon on your field. So yeah, like I said, everything requires you to have Dimension Dragon on your field, so this card can protect it, but then you don't want to have too many of him because the others are more important in filtering out and drawing into your Lost World. So this basically nullifies the attack, and if your opponent attack 3 or more, you can end the phase. So basically you end their attack phase, so this is pretty good to prevent them from attacking further. Because right now I have a lot of cards that can allow opponent to attack during their final phase, so this card also can be used to end their final turn straight away. So this card we must play 4 so that we can ensure that we will survive the turn, and then we can go to Lost World afterwards. Next up, we play 3 copies of Vanity Drive. It's a spell. You may only cast this card during an attack on your opponent's turn, and if you have a Dimension Dragon on your field. Counter, nullify the attack, put 1 Dimension Dragon monster from drop zone into your hand, and then if your flag is Lost World, you gain 3 life. So this one is pretty good also, as you can gain life, and also you can put 1 Dimension Dragon from your drop to your hand and nullify the attack. So basically this can also combo with Dugan. So you sort of like call him out, so you redirect, you get destroyed, draw 1 card, then after you will use this guy, nullify attack, you take back Dugan, and then you can call Dugan again. So it's pretty good. So play 3. Next up, we play 2 copies of the Aura Burst. It's a spell. Pay 1 gauge, choose one of the following 2. Put up to 1 Dimension Dragon's item from a deck into your hand and shuffle your deck. And for the counter, for this turn, Dimension Dragon's monster on your left and right cannot be destroyed. So basically this is to prevent opponents from destroying your monster, so you can still cast a spell. If not, once your field is emptied, you can cast anything else. And this is also a nice weapon searcher if you need your weapon to do more drawing. And then next up, we play 1 copy of Drago Trap. So it's a spell, cast cost, pay 1 gauge and pay 2 life, then choose 1 card on your opponent's field, and for this turn it cannot attack. So we only play 1 because Dimension Dragon doesn't really have like a life gainer kind of thing, so you can't really gain like a lot of life. So we're only using 1 copy because we can't gain life steadily. So yeah, if you have too many copies of this, we might end up putting ourselves around 5 health or lower, allowing opponents to use their impacts to finish off the game. So only use this card when you really need it to like stop your opponent from doing some massive damage. Next up, you play 1 copies of Road to Champion. So basically you can pay 1 gauge, choose one of the following 2, put a size 2 or greater monster from drop zone into your hand. So basically you can actually put like Agonia or Epis back to your hand, because sometimes you might not be able to draw them, but then somehow when you actually pay the gauge, maybe they are inside the gauge, and then when you go to drop zone, you can actually use this card to fetch them back. And for its counter, it's just basically to rest a monster on your opponent's field, basically to reduce their aggressiveness. So this card is also not bad. Next up, we play 2 copies of Lost Stone. So it's a spell, set spell. So ability of all Dimension Dragons on your field cannot be nullified, and they get 2k power and defense. So because it's also a Dimension Dragon, so this one also can help you with casting your spell if they don't destroy your set spell. So you can have a counter. You may drop a Dimension Dragon from your hand. If you do, for this turn the next damage you take is reduced by 3, and you can only use this once per turn. But then if you set both of them, so you can basically activate this one first, then activate this one, so you can activate one by one. And for its requirement for the skill to drop a Dimension Dragon, again you can drop ankles to gain more advantage. Next up, we play 2 copies of Dimension Spirit Gun, Krachia, I guess. So it's an item, 1 critical, 5k attack power, but that's not our main focus, because once you equip this item, so you need to pay 1 life, and during your attack phase, choose a Dimension Dragon monster on your field. You may rest this card, and if you do, stand the chosen card and you can draw 1 card. So this kind of our draw engine also, and by standing your monster you can do additional damage, so this is also pretty good. Then next up, we play 3 copies of the Zenith. So basically it's an impact for Dimension Dragon. So you may only cast this card during your opponent's final phase. Drop 2 Dimension Dragon from your hand. Put the top 2 cards of your deck into a gauge. Then you can search your deck for Lost World, flag, and put it on your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So this one actually boosts the consistency of you getting a Lost World card by a lot. And because it can actually charge your gauge, so you can somewhat don't need to worry too much about your gauge. And for its cost of dropping 2 Dimension Dragon, you can once again drop 2 ankles and you can draw a lot more cards. So this card is pretty good. And if you're not going first, you're going second, you can actually straight away cast this card at the end of opponent's turn and straight away go to Lost World. So it's pretty good. And then of course the last 2 card we play is the Lost World. So you may only you cannot choose Lost World as your initial flag because it's a special flag, and all decks only can have 2 copies of this flag. You may use Lost World cards when you have this flag activated, and then you have ability be lost at the end of opponent's turn. Choose one of your flags and you may pay 2 gauge. If you do, put this hand card on top of the chosen card, remove your deck from the fight, and then you'll shuffle your Lost World deck and put it into the fight. So yeah, you can only be lost once per fight, so you need to be careful because sometimes opponents can like remove your gauge when you declare be lost. So basically you like be lost, then you want to cover your flag to change to your Lost World deck, and you only have 2 gauge, and then if they are like playing God Punk or whatever that can, or Demon Dragon that can remove your gauge when you say be lost, and they actually counter to that and then remove your gauge, you can no longer be lost. So make sure you have around 5 gauge if you are fighting Demon Dragon, because Demon Dragon have 1 card that destroy their own monster, and then they can remove 3 gauge, I think. So if you have 5 gauge, they take 3 gauge, you still have 2 gauge for you to be lost. And as for God Punk, it's more on the wise move because they will call out the original browsers and they'll remove 1 gauge from you, so you're left with 1 gauge if you have only 2 gauge. So the safe number will be around 3 to 4. Yep. And now we are going to go to the Lost World part. And I forgot to mention that if you are using a Lost World card as a buddy during the start of the game, because you are not Lost World yet, you must face down your buddy. So yeah, that's about it. And now we will talk about the Lost World. So for my playstyle, I play 4 copies of Vow Demonic Husk Deity Dragon, Vanityenddestroyer. So basically, because this is like my main ace for the deck, so I play 4 copies to improve the consistency. And remember that Lost World deck, you can only have 30 cards in total. It's not like your main deck. Your main deck basically have no limits to whatever amount, as long as it's minimally at 50. But for Lost World, it's strictly at 30. You cannot have like lesser or more than 30. So yeah. So what does it do? So it's a sizeless monster because it is a Lost World monster. You have 1k defense, 2 criticals, 70k attack power. So you can only call this card once per fight. Its call cost is if you have 1 or more hand cards, put them all face down into its soul. So when this card enters the field, put your entire deck face down into the soul. You cannot lose the fight, and this card cannot have its ability nullified or its soul dropped by opponent's card effect. And its last skill is Dimension Door Disease. So at the start of each player's turn, you can put a soul from this card into your hand, and you have triple attack, soul guard, and lifelink loose. So lifelink loose basically means that if this card left the field, you should lose. And because you have an ability that you cannot lose this fight, basically means that if your life reach 0 or whatever, you will lose. The only way you can lose is this card leaving the field once it's on the field. And yeah, for its skill, you can basically, like, at the start of my turn, I can straight away look at the soul and take whatever card that I want from its soul into my hand, so that it's beneficial to me during that situation. And you can also take it during the start of opponent's turn too. So yeah, be careful when you're using this card, because sometimes opponent might use cards like Atora Around the World SD, I think. Basically, they will bounce all your soul back to your hand, because these cards say that it cannot be dropped. It never say you cannot bounce the soul back to your hand. So Atora SD kind of like bounce the soul back to your hand and leave this guy soulless, and once people attack him, he'll get destroyed and you'll surely lose. So yeah, watch out for Atora SD. Next up, we play 2 copies of Vow Demonic Deity Dragon, Vanityenddestroyer. It's also another sizeless monster, because all Lost World monsters are sizeless, since they are kind of like beyond the rule. So you have 10k defense, 3 critical, and 50k attack power. So its core cost is when a Lost World monster is put from your field into a drop zone, pay 2 gauge. So basically, whenever a drop zone monster is being destroyed, put, whatever, as long it's going to the drop zone by whatever means, like even if you destroy it or open destroy it, it doesn't matter, you can straight away just pay the core cost for this guy and you can call him out. So this card cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effect. And then yeah, Dimension Door Impetus, I guess that's how you pronounce it. And when this card has entered the field, choose up to 2 cards on your opponent's field, drop all soul of the chosen card, and put the chosen card into the drop zone, and you have double attack. So this guy can swing for like 6 critical. And this guy can be used defensive or offensively. If you want to go offense, you can actually find some of the Lost World monster, destroy them on your own turn, and then you can straight away call him out by paying 2 gauge. Yeah. And if you want to play this defensively, also can. When they destroy like your middle monster or your side monster, you can also call this guy out and then straight away remove their attacker or something. So yeah, this card is super good. So, but then you don't want too much of it because of its core condition. So 2 to 3 is fine. Next up, we play 2 copies of Lost Cross Astrologia. So we have a 10k defense, 3 critical, 16k attack power. So its core cost is put a card from drop zone into its soul, and then you can pay to gauge. Then if you have 3 or more Lost Wader on your field, all cards on your field get 2 more additional criticals, penetrate and counter attack. And this card have double attack and soul guard. Basically this will enable everyone to gain 2 more crits. So like Epoch here, from 3 critical it will plus 2 critical, so making it 5 critical. And then for our Epoch it will be 4 critical, and you can triple attack, so 4 times 3 is 12, so you can hit for like 12 damage. And for himself he can also hit for 5, so double attack can hit for 10. And for penetrate, basically everyone will have penetrate, so whenever you destroy their middle monster, you pierce through the defense and do the opponent's damage. And they have counter attack, so basically if they attack something like Cross or your Vanity End, they have soul, you'll destroy back their monster. But only if they can be destroyed by effects, because counter attacks are effect. So if they have something that prevents them from being destroyed by card effects, they won't get destroyed. Next up, play 1 copy of Foul Demonic Dragon Vanityenddestroyer. Destroyer. So it have 10k defense, 3 critical, 30k attack power. So if this card is on the field, your opponent cannot gain any life at all. This card on the field cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effect. And for its third ability, Dimension Door Origin. When this card attacks, put a card from your opponent's field into drop zone. So this one is pretty good because the word put the card into a drop zone bypasses almost every single thing in Buddyfight. So for now, the word put is actually kind of like absolute. So yeah, you can basically pierce through anything, Atora, whatever. You just straight away put them in the drop zone. So this card is pretty good. But then if they have soul guard, of course they can use soul guard to like protect their monster. But yeah, this guy can double attack, so it means that you can put 2, you can put any cards on their field to the drop zone 2 times. And you can play more of this. You can play like 4, 3, 2 or 1 copies, whatever you like, and depends on your budget. Because when I have this card, it's like $80 per piece, even though it's like the secret rarity, so it's kind of expensive during that time. Right now I'm not really sure about the price, but yeah, if you want to like increase on using him, you can, because he's quite strong also. Next up, play 1 copy of Vanityenddestroyer Destroyer the Skull. So you have 10k defense, 5 criticals, 30k attack power. So this card cannot be destroyed or rest by opponent's card effect. But remember, if opponent's card is like the opponent's card cannot stand anymore. The word cannot stand anymore basically bypass the resting. So yeah. And second ability, when this card attacks, destroy all cards on your opponent's field. So this one is actually not bad also, because it can actually sweep your opponent's whole field. That's the reason why I play 1 of him. And you have 5 critical, so if you combo with Astrologia, you have 7 crit. And if you hit opponent, that means they lose 7 life straight away. So this sort of OP if you know how to use it properly. Next up, we play 1 Curd Full Mud. So basically, I have 10k defense, 2 crit, and 15k attack power. So when a Lost Wader on your field attacks, destroy a card on your opponent's field and deal 1 damage to the opponent. So even if you don't destroy a card on your opponent's field, you can still deal 1 damage to them if they don't have anything that protects them from damage from effects. So yeah, this will serve as a kind of like poke, so you keep on chipping them one by one, and over time it's actually quite painful. And you have double attack, so basically anyone on your field, so whenever you attack, like himself attack, can destroy whatever card. If can't destroy, you still shoot them one. So if you have something like this and like this, so you attack 1, 2, so basically you already shoot 2 damage to them, and you can potentially destroy 2 cards already. And then after that, this card can attack 2 times also. Then this card can attack 2 times also. So with its own ability only, you can have 2, 4, 6, already dealing 6 damage to the opponent without actually hitting them. And if you calculate with this guy, like critical, you have like 9, and then because double attack, so you have 12, and so on. You can also increase this card if you want, but I'm comfortable with 1 copy. Next up, we play 2 copies of Invasion from the Deep and Vow. So it's a spell. You may only cast this card if you have Lost Vader on your field. Look at the top 4 cards and put 2 among them into your hand and put the rest into your gauge, and you can only cast this once per turn. So basically this is like a spell version of Argonia in a Lost World deck. So this is to let you fetch your resources also. You can play 3 copies also if you want, or you can play 4 copies, but personally I like to play like around 2 to 3, because I think that's enough, because you can only have 30 cards in your Lost World deck, so you don't want to have like too many of this card, and then end up your hand is stuck and you can't do anything. So yeah. Next up, we will play 2 copies of Day of Devastation. So it's a spell counter. You can destroy all monsters on your opponent's field, and you can deal 1 damage to your opponents for each card destroyed. So normally your opponent will have like around 2, and unless they are playing like Bank Dream or whatever, that can increase size limit, so they have like 5. So you deal 5 damage. If you have 2, you deal 2 damage, and so on. And that's if you can destroy the monster by card effect. If not, this card, the first ability, is kind of useless. Why we play this card mainly is for the second ability, because for this turn, all cards on your field cannot be destroyed, return to your hand, and their abilities cannot be nullified. So the only card that can like bypass this card is basically the word put. Something like Vanity Husk or the Brosiers from Godpunk. So yeah, basically when you cast this, you can treat it as you're invincible for the turn, unless there are some ways to bypass your monster and attack you directly, or like shoot you with like card effects. Next up, we play 2 copies of Dimension Wave. So it's a spell, destroy a monster on your field, then you can put 2 cards from your deck into your gauge, and then gain 2 life and then draw a card. So this is sort of like a minor draw support, and you can gain life, so not too bad. You can get gauge also. So this can combo with Epoch right here. So basically you can like cast this card, you can destroy, I don't know, Curb Foreman or Cross Astrologia. Then after you can call out your Epoch. So yeah. And then next up, you'll play 2 copies of Dimension Gate. It's another spell, so you can nullify attack, and then you can put an attacking card into a drop zone. So basically, this is kind of like a defensive offensive card. Why do I say that? Because you basically nullify the opponent's attack, so basically you are being defensive here, but then because of second ability, the second part of the ability, you basically kind of like remove their attacker. So imagine they are using something without a soul to attack you, and that card can actually like attack 4 times, but they attack the first time, sure will nullify, and then sure put it into drop. So basically you kind of like disrupt their formation. So yeah, you play 2 as our defense. Next up, we play 2 copies of Dimension Cruelty. It's another counter card. The first ability is basically put 3 cards from a drop zone into a gauge. So basically this to let us have more gauge. And second ability, stand a card on your field. Third ability, rest a card on your opponent's field. And then the last ability is basically drop 2 soul from a card from an opponent's field. So the last skill is basically to like drop souls from like a tanky monster like Agito or whatever, if they do not have like a soul protection. So this card is pretty good. And if you want to play offensively, also can. Basically you can stand back a monster and then attack again. And you can also rest opponent's card. So yeah, you play 2 copies. Next up, we play 2 copies of Val Vortex. So basically when you cast this card for this turn, all core cost, cast cost and equip cost of cards in your hand is lost. So basically it means that everything is free. So when you cast this card, you can straight away call Epoch without caring about the core cost, because your core cost is basically removed. So you can just straight away call it without having your monster getting destroyed. But something like Astrologia, because the core cost is lost, so basically right now Astrologia will have no soul, because you don't need to pay core cost anymore. But it's a good combo if you are using it with vanityenddestroyer. So basically your hand card do not need to put into his soul anymore, just only your deck. So yeah, you can have more hand card by using Val Vortex. So that's why I play 2 copies. Next up, we play 2 copies of Dimension Jamming. It's a counter, so your opponent chooses 2 cards from their hand and drop it. And you can only cast this once per turn. So basically, you can cast this when your opponent have like 2 cards. So once you cast this, they can't do anything at all already. So yeah, this card is pretty good to like disrupt opponent and basically leave them helpless. Yeah. So play 2 copies. And then we will play 1 copy of Dimension Breeding. So you may only cast this card if you have 2 or more lost within on the field. So sometimes during playing, because I don't really like, if you're really having a bad luck, you can't really get like 2 lost wader on your field. So this card will be like stuck on your hand. So only play 1 copy, but if you want to play like 2 copies, also can. So basically you put top 2 cards from your deck into your gauge and then gain 2 life and draw 2 cards. So and then you can only cast this once per turn. I'll say this card is quite good, but if you can like meet the condition of using it. But yeah, only play 1 because sometimes I feel like my hand gets stuck. So yeah, 1 copy is my preference. You can change it if you want. Next I will play 2 copies of Val Demonic Particles Lossless Heiser. So it's a 3 critical, 30k attack power. So it's the gauge cost return in this card equip cost is reduced by 1 for each card on your field. So pay 3 gauge. So but then if you have like 3 monsters on your field already, you basically can equip this freely. But then since you say cards only, meaning if you have like a set spell from your Dimension Dragon like the Lost Stone, it's also counted as a card. So basically you also reduce the cost of equipping this. So it's pretty good. And this card cannot be destroyed or leave the field by opponent's card effect. So basically this will stuck forever as a weapon unless you change your weapon. Basically, your opponent can't do anything to this card, so it will stay on the field forever. And what's good about this card is that you can attack even if you have a monster on your center. So basically, you can have a monster protecting you, and you can still attack your opponent using this card. So it's pretty good. And you have triple attack and penetrate. So this card by itself can deal 9 damage and can actually pierce through because you have penetrate. And yeah, even if they have a tanky monster in front, your penetrate can actually kill opponents still, unless they won't take effect damage like Atora. Yep. And the last 2 cards we are playing is of course Vanity Zero Blazer. So basically, you may only cast this card if you have 2 or more Lost Video on your field. You pay 3 gauge, and then you can deal 10 damage to the opponent. And 10 damage is actually a huge amount. And normally this card can kill a lot of decks without the skill that say they cannot take damage from card effects. Again, Atora. So yeah, this impact can kill a lot of decks, and only a handful won't die from this impact. And if you think paying 3 gauge is actually very hefty, you can use Vortex beforehand to basically reduce the cost of this guy. So that's all for today's deck profile on the Dimension Dragons. And sorry if I sound a bit shaky and stuff, because my mouth right now is kind of dry. But yeah, if you actually enjoyed today's deck profile, just smash that like button and subscribe to my channel, and turn on the notification bell below to all, so that whenever I upload a video you can be notified immediately. And also, if you don't know, you can claim different type of balls in Pokemon Sword and Shield right now. So be sure to check out my Instagram account, Murasaki Gaming, and you can also check it out in Facebook, same name. If you can't find it, you can actually click on the description down below, or go to my channel. I already have embedded a link on my banner art, so you can straight away click on that link and go to my Facebook profile or Instagram profile, and there we'll have 4 codes for you to key into your Pokemon Sword and Shield. And during Christmas, I might actually give away some Pokemon. So yeah, through the surprise trade. So be sure to be online on that day, because there are also a few people that are doing the giveaway on that day too. I might actually insert some of the pictures at here. So yeah, if you have any Pokemons that you need or want, you can actually comment down in the comment section below. If I see it, I will give it to you. And yeah, that's all for today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.